Do you want to know how to discipline a child with no empathy? I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach parenting and good communication, as well as child development and how to build strong family bonds all over the world through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we're talking about helping children who don't seem to care about anyone else. In this video, we're going to be talking about why someone might not feel empathy towards somebody else. We're also going to talk about if empathy is actually required for being able to correct your children and help your children, and what you can do if you are trying to parent a child who seems like they just don't care. It seems like every human should care about other humans, but they don't. There are many reasons why a person might feel like they don't care what anybody else is feeling and they're only looking out for themselves. It could be that they were raised in an environment where they always had to look out for themselves, where someone was not there for them and so they needed to self-focus. It could also be that they have, a disorder where they are really self-focused and they struggle looking past themselves. Occasionally, some people with processing disorders have that as one of their symptoms, that they just have a hard time seeing or caring why anybody else would need them to do anything. And they wonder, well, why can't they just take care of themselves? Usually empathy does need to be taught. So if your child is not feeling any empathy or understanding toward anybody else, then you need to be focusing on the full culture, not just on the child. Now, I know a parent could be completely loving, caring, empathetic, and understanding of a child and everybody else around them, and you still could have a child who doesn't care. At that point, you have to ask yourself, well, what's my role? What's their role? Because sometimes it doesn't really matter whether they learn to care or not. They still need to be corrected. They still need to have the instruction. They still need to know what's going on inside other people, because that's just good teaching. That's what parents do. They spend their time teaching those types of lessons to their children. Even if the child acts like they don't care, you want to still keep maintaining the teaching. I know the goal is a change of heart. And if you're wanting the child to have a change of heart, then we need to make sure that the teaching hits the heart. And that means that other things need to not be distracting and getting in the way of that as well. So many times when people are doing their teaching or correcting of their children, they actually get distracted on the emotional things. And so because of the emotions, the way that the parent is feeling, the way that this other child is feeling that was mistreated, or the way that the other child that seems to have no empathy is feeling, everybody gets so distracted on the feelings that the teaching starts to fall apart. And without proper teaching, we'll never get to a place where we actually can properly care. So long as everything is about how other people are feeling, we won't actually get to a place where hearts change and people do care about feeling what each other is going through. In a family, the ideal is that every person cares enough about each other that if somebody was experiencing pain or suffering or worry, that they would be there for them. They would ask, how can I help you? Something like that. And I know that that's not always the case in every family. That's how it should be. And so I think sometimes when we have a person in our family who is acting like they're completely self-absorbed, we think to ourselves, well, now what's going to happen to our family because this person doesn't care. And we seem to hyper focus on that person doesn't care about my feelings, or that person doesn't care about his feelings, or something like that. And when we get to that place, we start actually putting people in boxes, and that is not going to be helpful at helping the other person care. If that person is a target of your negative attention because you have told yourself that they don't care, that person will not feel close to you. It will not bring them to a place of caring. So if you have subscribed to this channel and you've been on it for a while, then you know that the majority of the videos on this channel do relate to improving family bonds and relationships, and anything that you do in your parenting should lead toward family relationships and bonding and helping to improve the communication and problem solving within the group. There are ways for you to solve problems in your family without having to target a person, to put them in an isolated, box like, oh, well, you don't fit in with the rest of us, you don't care like the rest of us do. So make sure that you're still reaching out to other people. Now, don't coddle. I think that's important. Sometimes people get to a place where they're completely self-absorbed because they're being coddled by somebody else. And then the person who's coddling expects to occasionally get coddled by somebody else too. So we have to make sure that we understand the difference between coddling and understanding and empathy and caring. So you can care about somebody but not feel like it's up to you to take their problem away. When a person is coddling, they are hoping that they dump enough emotion on another person that their emotion will take away the sting of the other person's emotion or make them forget it, and that emotion will be removed. So they actually think they can make the change of heart for another person. That is not good parenting. It's not good relationship development. Sometimes pain happens in relationship, and that's where empathy comes in, where you say, oh, that is really unfortunate. And okay, well, you might have still been wrong there. I see you're suffering, and that's hard, but let's help you get through it. Let's understand it and let's get through it. It's not dumping more emotion on another person. So, if you're pondering this about somebody, you may have to ask yourself, are they just one of those people that can more naturally not emotionally invest with people? That could be a strength in some circumstances. I know we want people to care. We want them to understand. So there are some things that we can do. I highly recommend starting with a family vision, or at least a relationship vision, where you say, okay, there's me and there's you. There's mom and there's daughter. Let's create a vision 10 years from now. What do we want our relationship to be like? How do we want it to be when we get together or when we see each other? What types of things do we want to talk about, care about? What's going to make us smile? What are we going to look forward to? So start with a vision. In my book, Parenting a House United, I talk about creating a 20-year vision for a family, and I talk about how to do that, the process to go, going through that vision. It is powerful to have a vision. There's a proverb, an old proverb, that says, without vision, the people perish. And it is true. If you do not have a direction that you're headed and know how you're getting there, then usually you're not going to make it to wherever your destination was. So after family vision, I think you want to make sure that you have a relationship vision. Start with just the two of you if you need to. Then say, okay, so if we're going to accomplish that vision, what are the types of things that get in our way? What do we need from each other? We need to be able to express our needs to each other, right? Sometimes a person needs to be appreciated. Sometimes a person needs to be cared for. And we might have to express that to each other. I would also say that after you decide what gets in the way and where you're going and what you're going to do about it, so what skills you need for communication with each other so that you make sure that you do get yourself to a place of caring, then how are you going to maintain that course? How are you going to make sure that you stay on track at becoming that type of family or having those relationships that you're hoping to have? Well, then you're going to have regular checkups, right? Regular, maybe family meetings, those types of things. So in the Teaching Self-Government Parenting System, I talk about different skills of communication and different meeting structures that could really help your family be able to unify. Now, here's the thing. Even if this one person is like, I still don't care, I'm not going to care, you can't make me care. Here's the thing. When you're reaching out to them, when you're trying to deliberately do things, when you're talking about what they would like out of a relationship, you're trying to make all those things happen, guess what? You're showing them that you care. They feel it no matter what. And maybe they're a narcissist. Maybe they're a sociopath or a psychopath. That could happen. Maybe. Okay. It's rarer than I think people think, although it is becoming more common, it seems like. But let's say they're that. Those people really generally don't care a lot about others. That's just the nature of how they process and what's going on and how they've trained themselves to just be self-focused. And by the way, I have videos about that on the channel. There's multiple videos about narcissism and narcissistic behaviors and stuff like that. So be sure to look those things up if you want more information there, if you think you might be dealing with that. But I would caution you really can't diagnose somebody else as a narcissist. Okay? Somebody can have a tendency, but that doesn't mean that they're actually a narcissist. So, please be careful about labeling people as that. But let's say you do have somebody who, has that kind of thing going on and you know about it. Guess what? You still showing them, no matter what, I care about you. No matter what, I'm going to serve you, and I'm still going to serve these other people. And I'm going to teach you what you need to do to serve this family. I'm going to give you instruction. You need to follow through with the instruction. And if they're like, fine, but they act like they don't care, it doesn't matter. You're still giving them the opportunity to be part of the group. They see and feel what it means to be part of the group. You're also showing them that they matter to you no matter what. And here's the other big one. When you correct them, make sure that you are correcting them in a way that is calm, that is loving, that is caring. Make sure that you are not emotionally targeting them and berating them. That will just lead to more disconnection and more feeling of, oh, see, they're just manipulating me. Because they may be trying to manipulate you because they feel emotionally manipulated. You never know. So that's a real thing that absolutely can happen. So make sure that you learn how to correct the children in a way that's calm, and that you teach them what that calm correction is going to sound like and be like. So I have all the steps for how to do a proper correction, but before you go to that place, you want to make sure that you learn the 4 basic skills of self-government, what self-government is, and some of the different structural elements that are going to help you put all this into practice. I highly recommend, if you have been enjoying some of the information that you've been hearing here, or some of it's like, well, what's that? I'm intrigued. There is a class, it's a full-length class here on this YouTube channel. It's called The Not So Known Secret for Parenting Success. Type that in or click on the link that's there and make sure that you go and see that. That will give you a great beginning, a start, a taste to what self-government skills that you could use to help in this circumstance. Your child may seem like they don't care. Down deep, everyone does care about belonging. They do. It's a human need to belong to other people. So even if they aren't showing what you mean to them or showing someone else what they mean to them, there is something there, that feeling of belonging. And there are very few circumstances, processing styles and stuff that make a person, be exempt from that feeling of belonging. Very, very few. So just bank on that, just count on it, because they need you to be there, to not give up on them, to not get emotionally invested in this. Don't take it emotionally, personally, and then just keep using the logic and the skills of self-government to help them learn to rein themselves in, even if they act like they don't like it and they don't care. All right, so go to the Not So Known Secret for Parenting Success today. I'll see you there.